kid, black kid, all white family. I'm still all these dynamic identities, right? And then I progressed on, and now I'm a football player on scholarship. Now I'm a teen dad-ish. I get like 19 years old, got pregnant, had my son when we were like 20. I meet my real dad at the age of 20 years old when I have my first collegiate start in football. Progress on a couple of years of just college and having a kid all through college to playing in the NFL. So now I'm the identity of this NFL football player who has all the other parts of my life going on. Unfortunately, the NFL stands for not for long. You get in, you get hurt, you get out. So I tore my left shoulder playing against the Philadelphia Eagles with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They all went off to win a Super Bowl that year, and I had to watch from my couch as teammates of mine got rings. And that wasn't very fun. But then I came home and I broke my life, man. I got to the point where now I'm home and I lose a massive identity crisis, lose my identity. And anybody, you guys who are listening, think of a time when in your life you had this thing you worked towards so immensely, and then all of a sudden it's ripped from you. This is people coming home from the military, people getting divorced, people losing jobs, losing loved ones, gaining stuff. If you gain a new job that takes you from something else, you get a new partner, a new spouse, these things, they shift us, and sometimes we are not prepared for them. And we're leaning into and trying to figure it out as we go. And it gets so overwhelming. We crash the rest of our life around us. The programming reaches its capacity. The programs, our health, wealth, relationships, experiences, those programs start bogging down like a computer does. And we're due for an update. And I did this. My marriage fell apart. My wife had an affair. We got divorced. The business was always up and down. I was out of shape. I didn't feel like I was much of anybody as a human. Wasn't a present father. And so fast forward, man, a lot of years, like 3 years of just craziness and everything falling apart. I was at one point living in a 500 square foot studio apartment with my kids next to my bed, my twin size bed, on an air mattress. Like we didn't have anything going on positive in my life. And I got to the point 2014, my adoptive mom passed after 17-year battle with multiple sclerosis. And I had this like itch of like, I can't keep going through life floating like this. I'm due to do something great. She helped me become a non-statistic. Most people don't know this, but in foster care, any prison in America, 75% of the inmates are former foster kids like me.
Wow.
Homeless population, more than 50% of our homeless population has spent time in foster care, and less than 1% of us graduate from college. So I'd already beaten all those odds, and like I'm doing more, but I wasn't reaching a full tier of potential. And then this moment happened. My mom passed away while I'm holding her right hand, and like I had this thought of like, what if I just try to figure out what to do, because her life, her body took her ability from her to reach her potential. I was like, I can't go through life and not try to do great when she gave me the opportunity to. And it turned my life around in a sense of me wanting to do better and make something of the crazy. I updated my software, we'll call it. And after 3 years divorce and custody battles and a business up and down and crazy, my ex-wife and I got remarried. We had an amazing growth individually because we were 16 when we got together. High school, we didn't know who we were. So we needed this separation time to figure out who we were, and we came back. So we have an amazing marriage now. We still argue. We were fighting last night over seats in the bed and who's doing what. We're human. But at the same time, like I love her. I love my children. I love what we've created. And I love now that I have crossed finish lines and understood a lot of stuff, so I can now go back and do what my mom did for me, which is love on people unconditionally to help them reach their full potential. And the area that I do it is in identity. There's a ton of science and studies behind how identity ties so heavily to all the success we have. The goals we'll set, the ones we'll achieve, why we'll achieve them. And in fact, mindset's one of those things where people I hop on calls are like, oh, Anthony works on mindset. And it's like, oh, you're missing something. Because actually studies that show individuals, entrepreneurs exactly who they actually studied, given all the techniques and tactics for a great mindset, if you don't have what's called a self-categorization as an entrepreneur in this example, you'll still fall short even with that mindset. Because there's always that part of your brain that has this disassociation with whatever your logic's trying to convince your subconscious of. Like if you know there's something off, you're not that person, you can say it all you want, but you don't believe it, right? So you need actions, you need a self-categorization and identity in the area. Now it blossoms and it rolls. And so that's the work I work in. I spend a lot of time, I was just doing it earlier today, spend a lot of time with clients working through the structure of understanding the concrete levers of identity, and then how that boils down to a foundation of how I run my life to make an identity shift, to if you get past that upper limit and close what I call an identity gap, the gap between the person who has all the things I want, because if we were that person, we already have those things, and the person we are now. And when you understand the different sides and what it takes to kind of bridge the gap and close the gap, life becomes great. Like success becomes second nature, and that's what I love to do.
And and you're so amazing at it. I mean, you've changed thousands and thousands of lives. And I really love that you say that identity and mindset, they're different things. And
Yeah.
it's so important that you really highlighted that. And I want to just bring it back up to the
Yeah.
top for people who may have jumped on or jumped off, is that it's not exactly the same thing. And even as an entrepreneur and someone who's in the spiritual space, you know, we do think that mindset is the key, and
Yeah.
mindset is part of it, right?
Huge part. Yeah.
It's really knowing your identity and how the externals don't change that and affect
Yeah.
that, right?
Because if you think
So
about it, yeah, mindset is just like, we'll go to the baseline of Carol Dweck's concepts of growth and fix, right? I can have a growth mindset. I'm capable. The possibility is there for me to go after something. I can psych myself up. I can seek what it means to grow in that area. But at the same time, if I'm always battling myself and telling myself, but that's not who you are, that's where imposter syndrome comes in. But you haven't done this before. You're brand new. Who's going to listen to you? Why should you? No matter what you tell yourself on the mindset side, without that identity saying, look, no, this is who I am, or at least who I'm really trying to be, this mindset stuff, it never will grab hold the way it really could.
Yeah, no, I agree. And my friend, your tips help me so much as well, because I'm going to be really honest, I still have those thoughts, you know, I still have to work through those
Same.
moments, and they're not just moments if they happen more than just once in a while, you know, that where I don't think I'm good enough, I don't think I know what I'm doing, I have imposter syndrome, you know. I mean, when you were talking about your identity that you put into, like, whether it's being an NFL player, all these things, when you were saying something that you had worked so hard your whole life for and put everything into, and this is who you saw that you were. I mean, it just made me think about when I was, you know, that time where I was like dying basically in my apartment after a surgery, and I was bleeding out, and then after that I was lucky with this, you know, I was saved, and then I couldn't use like my left arm, and I couldn't use my upper body to be a chef, which is like was totally my identity. And it was what I had come to do because of what happened with my parents. And I was in such a dark space, in such a slump. I was like, what do I do now? Not just beyond how do I earn money, but like, this is who I'm a chef, you know? And then I just kind of did exactly what you said, which was like dove deep into my, like, what do I know? Like, why do I do what I do? What am I doing this for? And realized I had all this knowledge inside of me that I was already infusing into the food, that I was already sharing. And then that became a different branch of my business with the nutrition consulting, and it became magic. But I would say that even for someone out there who has already kind of overcome that challenge and made that shift, what Anthony has to share and teach takes you so beyond that. Because if I had already the knowledge that you are teaching and sharing, I would never go back to, wait, am I good enough? Do I know what I'm doing? Which even despite that.
Well, you would, but we come out of it faster because it's usually it's an automatic response for it. And what you're talking about, those of you guys who were tuned in, like you had that emotion, like I felt what you were saying. I did this thing and now I can't do this thing. And now who am I? Like, who am I? And there's a long period of time. We all have these moments where it's mourning. You're mourning this thing. And it's kind of like fruit falling off a tree. We're the fruit where the apple, it falls off and it withers and dies, and we feel like that, this withered, shriveled up, this piece of nothing. And then it took me a lot of years to realize this, Serena, but we never were the fruit. We were always the tree.
Yeah.
And that tree,
you guys write that down.
Write that down.
Write
and
that
the thing
down.
is
We're
the
not
moment
the
you
fruit,
go
we're the
back,
tree.
when you go back and it's like, okay, well, how did I create that fruit? But what part of me was necessary? When you figure that out, now you're like, oh, let me go and water this tree and then prune the branches and mend the trees, you know, broken areas, and now you can produce better fruit. Because for me, I was like, I'm the NFL guy. How does it get better than that? Like, what do you? It's all over, right? Because I was the fruit, and I was like, oh no. I was the guy that got that career, that stayed, that kept healthy. Like, let me try that and apply that somewhere else, and then you can blossom into something greater. But we all have to, you have to start by realizing, like, it's not that you'll never run into that, because every next level of what you want doesn't come at the next book. Like, I'm not going to read a book here and all of a sudden make six figures. It's going to be the person that understands, like, am I the human who takes that book, actually reads it, buys it and actually reads it, not self-esteem, then actually executes, then actually tries it again when I suck the first time, and then again and again and again until I become the person who does that thing. That's where the success comes from. And a lot of that is very hard. It's an emotionally draining situation because, like you said, it just feels fun and I'm drained and I don't know if it's who I am and I question it. And it's really, it's one of those things where once you realize that we all, no matter what level of success you have had, we all have this upper limit. And a lot of us, the ego will pop in. Like I had the NFL ego of I'm this great guy, and right, that ego was protecting me from feeling pain, but it was pain I needed to feel. Let me say this again. It protected me from pain, but it was protecting me, not even protecting me, it was stopping from pain I needed to feel to grow. Like a crab feels pain when it needs to grow, right? It hides behind a pier, loses a shell, grows another shell so it can grow bigger. But a lot of people are stuck in that crab shell in life and they don't want to experience, like they go and change the shell. They just keep dealing with the pain. The ego protects that. But when I was like, man, I suck as a husband. I suck as a father right now. I suck as a businessman. I could accept the pain of it and like, oh, all right. It doesn't always have to be that way. Let me go and get rid of this shell, create a new one around it, and now we're better. And so it's like that's the separation between a lot of people. It's like you're never going to get rid of that feeling because every time you set a new level, a stretch goal, we'll call it, you're always going to be met with facts that like, hey, I suck at what needs to be done to reach that. But that's part of the process. Like, it's okay. You look for that at certain points because the person you are can handle that pain. The person you are can solve that problem. And then everything goes up from there.
Totally. And I love that you said that. It's that reminder that, you know, you guys, like pain means growth. If you look at that and you know that there's growth and there's higher, then you can kind of go through it, you know, just like surrender and challenges. And I say that all the time. It's not my quote, but every challenge is a gift, you know, and every time you're at these crossroads where you need to surrender, you'll actually learn and you'll grow. And you got to go through, you got to get through the pain. You can't, there's no really like way around it. You got to go through it. Right.
Yeah. And it's okay to go through it. I think the fear is, and there's the thing, the unknown's the scariest part of it. It's like, we look at life and like there's like a cave in front of us. And inside that cave, we know there's a monster in there. There's also treasure in there. And the problem is a lot of us will fear the monster so much that we don't go in there after the treasure. And we sit on the outside knowing it's so close and it's right there. But there's this, I don't know how to say this thing, write this thing, ask for this thing, you know, whatever it may be. But what's interesting is when we start looking at, like, when I look at the aspects of what it takes to reach, we'll call it another tier and go in after that cave, it's like you have to lean into the fact that you're not supposed to know all the solutions and the answers right now. Like, that's kind of the fun part about it, right? You're going to pick up new aspects, but when you lean into something and you try these hard things, the pain is not this unknowing, unending kind of thing. The fear we typically has is we know it's going to hurt. We don't know for how long. And here's why I'm going to give you guys a picture where you can actually picture why you will keep facing this thing that sucks every single day. Because here's the truth. The first time you face it, it's going to be a 10 of pain. It's going to suck. You're just like, you're going to be met with like, I am horrible, right? And then you're going to be like, what do I do now? Do I walk away? And we'll do this naturally. We'll be like, oh, that hurt. I don't want to feel that again. We'll walk away. We'll try something new, and we'll try something new. We'll get that shiny object syndrome. But then if you look at the people who are successful and actually reach the we'll call it the promised land, they went back. They learned something from the 10 and said, oh, okay, I know it's going to hurt. Let me go again. And they go again, but guess what? It still hurts. It's a 9. It's still high, but it's a little bit less, you know? And they go home and they learn again. It's like, oh, and people are like, what is wrong with you? Why do you keep doing that? You suck at singing. Why do you keep getting on stage? You suck at as being a stand-up comic. Why do you keep getting on stage? But they do it again. And it's an 8. Do it again. It's a 7. It's still high. Then it's a 5. Then it's a 4. And then eventually, here's a beautiful place. Eventually, it's like a 0. But here's the thing. It is not a 0. Most people think like, oh, I'm going to be doing it without pain. It actually goes from 0 and it immediately goes to joy. It's like, bam, I love doing this. Like, it's just, I love this thing, right? So when you're going after these moments that suck, it's not an enduring forever pain. It's a diminishing pain that turns into this incredible, joyous, loving aspect of this. But it's only going to happen for the people who keep facing that ugly fear over and over. Because here's a statement. You guys write this down. This is what I live by. What you create creates you. Yes. What I do, what I go through the dirtiness and ugliness of, it creates this person inside. I'm like, that's who I am, right? And the creation process is the refacing at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4. When you get to 0, the reason you have joy is because you know it's who you are and you're dope. Like, I know I'm great. I've done all this. It's who I am now. And then all of a sudden you have this different level of attachment to what you are capable of, and you find peace, you find joy, you find happy. And then people look at you and go, how in the hell are you so successful? How are you doing all these things that I struggle with like it's easy, like it's typical Tuesday? It's not magic. It's like, well, you know what? Because I did them when it was a 10 of pain and a
Yep.
9 and an 8
Yep.
and a 7.
Amen.
And it's all you got to do.
Yep. Me too. I get that. And so you guys write that down. What you create creates you.
Creates you. It's a process.
Golden word. Let me just take a peek at some of these questions that just popped in here really quick.
Yeah, please do. Hey, everybody. Hello, everybody. I'm in a good mood today. I'm always in a good mood, by the way.
We have a long question here. Let me see if I can open up the whole thing. It doesn't let me open up the whole thing, but what I can see is,
yeah, are you creating your identity or fulfilling
Yes.
your identity?
Yes.
It's actually, so Raymond, we've had this conversation before. And I personally believe there's a duality in the realm that I believe. I'm a man of faith, and I believe we have an aspect of us that is predestined. I think life has an amazing plan for all of us, and we break it along the way. Whatever opportunities arise, we break it by fearing things, causing problems, not being prepared, being lazy in advance. And so I think your identity is not something that is predestined. I think it's something you create. Because the world's different. The way the world's progressed is vastly different. And I believe in free will. I believe we're given free will to create and do different things. Now, that free will might be something we're freely creating to get us to a destination already planned. There could be a million different paths to the same destination. But I think the interesting thing is like my identity is something I get to logically, spiritually as well create. Because I think spirituality is it's a non-physical attribute of who I am. And when I'm done, on this plan, this physical body's gone, my soul will take off out of here, but it'll be from what I physically created to give my soul a sense of self as it disappears and goes up into the sky, right? So I think the identity is something you create and somewhat fulfill to an extent.
And that's such a beautiful explanation. I don't remember who asked that, but I hope that sort of answers your question, because I thought it was a beautiful explanation. You guys know how much I infuse spirituality into my life, and how I feel like that it ties everything together. So Anthony, can you just give us some insight into this magic, this program that you've created that you recently, have been sharing about this process?
Yeah, so for me, what it boiled down to was how do I make sure this is something that's out of my head? It can't be something that is like, how does Anthony feel about this today? How does Anthony want to talk about this today, right? It's got to be a process you follow. There's a reason why there's procedures and processes to everything in the world that's successful. Why McDonald's operates how McDonald's operates. They have a system and a model and a process.
Yes.
And so I created from my life experiences, through client work, through science, through psychology. Like I wanted to figure out, like, what are the parts or stages someone needs to go through that'll get them this end result of making this shift over time to become this person. Now, you can have perspective shifts within the first hour, first videos you watch, and like, oh, I never thought of it that way, and it changes everything. I mean, think about there's moments that change things. Someone passed away, I get a new job, I win the lottery. Immediately, there are moments, I have a kid, that changes the trajectory of your entire life at times, right? So those can happen quickly. But what I want to know is, like, how do I have a predictable process somebody can go through to say, to take this concept I'm talking about and make it real for them, to really genuinely get there. And so I've got clients that have made like $85,000 in 4 weeks. I've got clients that have launched products in the first 4 days, made 45 grand. I've got clients that have saved marriages like mine post infidelity. People that have lost 70 plus pounds. And it's not because I told them how to exercise or showed them all the strategies for business. A lot of us already had that stuff. We just haven't accessed it. I mean, I bet everybody on here, I guarantee, has read a book or bought a course that is sitting inaccessed, unaccessed,
For sure.
dormant, right? It's like, why? And so the process is called the shift method. And I went back and I said, where do all these things intertwine and work together? And the shift method is very simple, but the depth of it is where the work gets done, these specific exercises we do within it. But here's the 50,000 foot kind of view of it. The shift method has 3 specific stages: see, shift, and sustain. The biggest thing that I had a problem with way early on in my career and in my life of me not being able to make progress, because I was working hard to get things done. We all work. We all do a lot of stuff, and that's the shift phase, right? So a lot of people will do a lot of work and then think of it like this. It's kind of like huffing and puffing to climb a ladder, get to the top of it, and you're like, man, the ladder's leaned against the wrong building. I'm drained, and I got nothing to show for it. Like a lot of people, if you feel that, put some hearts up. But that's what happens. A lot of us will work towards stuff and like, why am I not farther ahead by now? What in the world is going on? It's like this invisible force. I can't seem to figure out why I'm not where I want to be. And so I realized the work is the thing we got to do to change it. But are we doing the right work? And so I need to have my own process to really get to the root of not just the mindset issues or the communication issues, but like the identity aspects. Where was my identity kind of incongruent? Because a lot of us are waking up every day in 2020 with brand new hardware like a computer, but running Windows 95. We haven't really progressed past our childhood because we were all unintentionally programmed when we were kids. Our mom and dad and teachers, colleagues, and they told us what love is, what money's about, what a relationship would look like, what career should be like, what joy is, who's good, who's bad. And we got this stuff ingrained, and we don't even realize we're living and operating from the system without controlling the system unintentionally. Right. So I go back and say, let's take a look at this program, like real. Let's take a look at this very specific aspects we look at. What in the world's going on? Why are you stuck? Why are you here? Why do you keep telling yourself, I've worked so hard? But if you think about it, the dream you have is up here and the level of work is up here. But you keep telling yourself, I've done the most I can, but it's down here. So either you got to get into your head what it takes to work harder or get out of your head that dream. And most people don't grasp this. But once you understand, like, oh, here's why I'm here in the seed phase. Now I can dream at full speed, I call it. Because I think if you think about dreams that we all have, like think about being in a desert, like open road, a nice drop top cherry red Ferrari, full speed. My heart's racing. I'm like, yeah, like I'm full speed. Oh, it's great, right? And then all of a sudden there's a speed bump. What do? I got to slow down, and try to speed back up. There's a detour. I got to drive. I'm going slow again. I have the heart racing's gone. Dreams happen the same way for a lot of us. If we don't see why we're stuck, we don't get to the point of getting rid of that trailer. So now our dreaming's the same way. I can create this thing and I can be on stage and I can have this relationship. I can travel to the world, but I don't have any money. And who's going to listen to me? I don't even have the education. We put speed bumps in because we don't realize what's stopping us. It's subconscious. So once you free yourself up and you see like, oh, here's where I'm stuck. Here's where I want to go. Now I go to the shift phase. Now when I start looking at the actual work to shift, I call it architecting and activating my ideal identity, the ideal identity for your dream. Now we start getting stuff done. Not only you achieve, but you do what's most important, which is you transform. There's this concept called the hero's two journeys, right? And if you think about it, the Mighty Ducks movie, one of my favorite movies. When I was in high school, I used to always watch this movie. I loved it. And there's always like the misfits. You got the kid who's like the juvenile delinquent. You got the chubby kid who's like the goalie. You got the girl who's like a tomboy. Nobody likes her. You got the coach who's this guy who's forced to coach these kids. And you're like, they want to achieve something. They want to get this trophy of the crosstown rivals, right? Even the kid that comes over who's like this stuck-up pompous kid, right? They get through and they work incredibly hard. They create this process to now they win the championship and they feel amazing. They got the achievement. But that wasn't what Disney made apparent. What they made apparent was the transformation. Emilio Estevez got the girl, and the kid has like this stepdad, and the girl feels comfortable in a dress, and the chubby kid's Goldberg to Golan, and there's the Bash brother, like there's all these kids. And I'm like, that's why we did it, because that kid can achieve that anywhere in their life. That human who is working towards achievement learned things to create the person that could do that. And so in the shift phase, that's what we do. We dig in and we do the mucky, icky, ugly creation process work. But the back end is, look, you're going to achieve something. That's a positive win. But you're also going to become the person who achieved that thing. And then you can do it on autopilot. It's amazing if you think about what it turns into. And then the last part of it is sustain. The worst that you can do, have success, and then have lack of it at some point because you lost track of what you did to get there. You weren't consistent. Because we'll go in spurts. Why people have the yo-yo dieting? Because in their head, it's like, I'm a fat person trying to lose weight. That's what happens. Yo-yo diet. But if I say I'm an in-shape person, you don't slide back down because that's not who I am anymore. That's who I am, right? When you are that person, it progresses differently. So the drive phase of the sustain is like, am I consistently driving in the right direction? Do I have a hive of people around me that make my life sweet like honey, like a beehive? Sweet honey, right? Do I have the people around me that create that? And it's just as hard sometimes to get rid of bad people as it is to get great people because we don't always feel adequate or worthy of upper level groups. So some people, they don't enter into that group. They look from the outside like, I'd like to be in that group, but they may not accept me yet. And so I sit in a stagnant kind of purgatory because I don't want to be in these people's group. I don't want to go in here because I may get ostracized. So I'm going to sit here and try to figure it out. And it sucks. It's a very lonely place. But when you express and lean into that, everything blossoms and grows. And then you get to the point for me, which is huge. It's like now I can thrive. And thriving is for me the most incredible part of life. It's what I get to do now. I base on this metaphor. Those of you guys who like hamburgers, you might get this. But it's called marginal utility. If I'm starving and I got 10 hamburgers, the first hamburger is delicious. Oh yeah, one hamburger is so good, right? Then what happens is, second hamburger, it's still good. Like I'm still good. I can eat a lot of hamburgers. Third hamburger, like I'm stuffed. The fourth one's gonna come out of my mouth. I'm gonna puke it up if I eat the fourth one. So what do I do if I want to feel good again? Well, I got 7 hamburgers. What do? I give them to someone else who's hungry. Now I can feel great again because I'm doing something to thrive. And so the process I work through, as high level as I just walk like over the top, we get into the nitty gritty of this. We work people through to where like when it's all said and done, you have an hour by hour process of what to do, how to do it. It's designed for your identity, not somebody else's, not what success looks like, but like your own scale that you set, the world cannot touch. So not only do you wake up with like joy every day because you know like, hey, I'm accomplishing stuff and feeling good about it, but like you also get to look at your life at some point and like not recognize it in a good way. Like, I don't know how I became the person doing this all the time. And I have this, maybe it's a great body and like my marriage is good right now. And all of a sudden business is going well because I'm not scared of taking that step I've been sitting back watching everybody else take for the last 6 months, or the book got written and now I'm doing the lives. Like whatever it is you lean into, a lot of it comes in a backside of structuring it, taking action and being clear on what to do and watching things come to fruition as you create. So that, I'm excited if you can't tell. This is what I love doing all day. This is what I do.
I'm so pumped up. I mean, are you guys not just pumped up just listening to Anthony and all his knowledge? And, you know, my phone keeps buzzing because I have these text messages that are coming in for some people who just want to be more anonymous and they don't want to put it on the comments. And, you know, it's, how can I work with you? How can I work with you? Do you work with people? And some people have had some financial changes over the last 5-6 months. And so they just, how can they access this information? What are the different options, the different tiers? Can you share that? Because that's, of course, I would say most of the text messages that I just received, because everyone's fired up. You guys are fired up.
That's the fun part of my job.
Send hearts, let Anthony know how fired up you are. So let us know.
So it's really, it's pretty simplistic. I don't make it this crazy, impossible thing to reach. There's different levels of how I work. I try to personally be involved in every level. I don't want to be separate from the work because I love what I get to do. I love the people. I get to know them, their families. Like I have a weird memory. I remember people from my gym when I first opened it back in 2008. Like oddly, I can find them in public. But I love this. This is something I don't do because it's cool. It's just like I'm, for the most part, pretty siloed in my work. I just have my family and the work I do. I'm not out doing craziness and networking in a million groups. Like I love the work I do in the people. And so the way you access it, we have 3 different programs. It's called the Shift Starter, Shift Incubator, and Shift Accelerator. The Accelerator is more the mastermind. Those who have gone through at least the incubator, they have access to a separate private group to sustain that. That's the hive I created for people. The Shift Starter is a program that allows people to come in and look at really like, what are the things I'm not seeing? It's a very interesting, we'll call them exercises people do, that they're like, I've seen them save and mend relationships that have been broken for 20 plus years. It's some cool stuff I came up with after doing a lot of studies and seeing what people were doing. Like, wow, what if I tweak it like this, try this, and boom, I tried it for a couple of years and it works amazing. So Shift Starter is like the unhitch the trailer, let's go to work. The Shift Incubator, it's a 90-day, like it's a time collapse process of making a shift. I call it making shift happen. So we go through and we literally just create and architect your ideal identity, understand what needs to be part of it. What exercises do I do to research, create this 3-tier from a 3-tier research piece. Then we actually develop a plan around that. And the plan, I think, is going down to like, what is what's called the hard process, the habits, actions, reactions, and drivers for each of the 6 areas we go into. And you start planning this, you condense it all, and it comes down to literal specific steps that you then infuse into your life. I do it myself, and I made a GPS planner specifically for this process. Like I got this thing created, it's mine. I'm like, I need my own tool to give to people. So I sent it out for free for people. It's a 9-month planner, but it is everything you put into it is the right plan, because people will buy planners, but have no idea how to plan. So I was like, I went in and figured out how do we make this all the way just super clear, concrete, structured. And then from there, you have not only me as a coach that I meet with people in cohorts. We have one starting the 22nd, but we meet in cohorts. And so you all go together at the same kind of pace and progress through. But you work with me once a week. Then you have a specific separate strategist that goes kind of step by step with you one-on-one. And they make sure you have the implementation stuff going on. And then there's also hot seats, which means the whole group comes together without me, with the separate person as an implementation person. And it's like I don't want to call it like a private, but it's without the dad in the room, we'll call it. Like you guys need to talk, chat, organize. That person leads. They know the curriculum. So
Yeah.
it's super personalized and dialed in and structured. And so I have a big piece in it and making sure everybody stays on path. My implementation specialist has a piece in it to create that one-on-one and accountability. And the group creates that community and it on goes. And so it's 90 days and people come out of there creating some incredible stuff. And if anybody wants information on that, or you guys want to find out more about it, I'm on here. Just go to Instagram and send me the word shift. And then I'll be able to reach back out, have a conversation, and kind of talk to you about what it is and get you in touch with my team that can walk you through the whole registration process and even give you more details. I just kind of ran through it real quick, but they have like the bullet points if you want to see access, what the program looks like inside, testimonials, all that fun stuff. But that's it. That's stuff that
that's awesome.
I've been sitting in the back, like the background creating, because I've done this work for so many years. But what I found was there's only so much Anthony. There's a lot of stuff I can do from a stage, but like I want to be in as many people's lives as possible because this is not a common concept. This is new to a lot of people. So like, how can I expand my ability to reach more lives? And so the last really 90 days myself, I've been taking everything I've been doing at a standpoint of like one-on-one and making it more group oriented to where we can reach more people in this kind of situation the whole world's in right now.
I love that. And I hear you. I'm the same with my culinary alchemy, you know, like how can I reach more people? And I think it's just awesome that you've done this. And a few text messages came in. Is it too late to join? If it starts on the 22nd?
What is today?
We have
22nd
of September?
Of September, yeah, 22nd of September. So we have time. And my team, I just was on a call earlier with my team about calls we had yesterday, calls we have today. So people are they're coming through and rolling in. So it's still filling up. And if we get to a point where it's too many, then I then separate it. And so I make sure it's not this crowded bunch of people. It really matters to me that people feel like they are heard and feel like they're touched personally.
Yeah.
It can't be something where it's just a numbers game. It's just not how I'm built. My mom would hate if I was doing that in my world. And so I add extra times when we kind of get to the overflow level. But yeah, no, it's I'm excited for the 22nd because it's one of those.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. You guys better come on and
Oh
get for the ride. It's gonna be some interesting kind of process to roll out here.
It's so awesome. And someone said, are you doing, or will you be doing virtual summits? That's a little different than this in the program. So.
Yeah, it's funny is I have a bunch of interesting, really, really awesome colleagues. I'm not a name dropper, so I'm not going to share all their names, but I guess some phenomenal human beings that are part of my world. I've been in my board I'm looking at over here, structuring what I want to do as a summit. Because the funny thing is, every single person you've ever known to have success in your world has had an identity shift. It's just happened. Yeah. If you ask them, hey, what were you like when you were unsuccessful? They'll tell you, like, I'm not even the same person I was. Yeah. Like that should trigger something. And so everybody I know, there's so many deep stories you can dig in and find out about what they did to create the person they are. Now, they may have done it the slow way because there wasn't a process for them. They just kind of figured it out. But like you can shortcut the process to get there. And it's not only going to be the process I teach, but I want to extract their specific moments because there's so much lost in translation of just words. So I want to have a summit where I have them teach really their what I call awe shift moments. That's what I call the awe shift podcast I have. I want them to tell their awe shift moment, like, oh, this happened. It sucked, but here's what I learned. This happened. It was amazing. Here's what I learned, right? Mm-hmm. And if I can extract that from them and give it away in a summit, like that's what would be cool. So I have a list of names and people I'm going to talk to that has nothing to do with their expertise, but I want to know their humanity. What is the thing that for them was their identity shift moment or feeling that they may be that made them who they are?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And that's so core to everything. And I think that's what everyone is learning about here today. And I'm sure you guys took tons of notes. And if not, we will have this replay back up so you can go back and take a bunch of notes, you know, after this. And I think there was actually a bunch of comments way in the beginning and I have to scroll all the way back for it. Scrolling. Yeah. And then, well, one that came up that really stood out to me was just something that I think a lot of people are feeling. There are a lot of people that have joined in and joined on all the time with these lives because they are feeling lost and they don't know what that first step is. That first step may be joining and signing up for your program. Whether or not that's something they can do or not. Like, is there something that they can do like after they get off this live?
100%, yeah. And I realize that. I've been very aware that there's been times in my life, seriously, in 2013, I had to borrow $5,000 from my then ex-wife, who's now my wife, just to get myself along. So I've been ridiculously broke. I totally grasp what it's like, but I need help still. And I can't, there's going to be things where it's like, man, I need some guidance. So what I have is we actually put this together as a wait list that's beginning now. And
I
so I
mean,
realize that there's the structured work I go through in a curriculum base, but there's also nuggets I can drip, recordings I can send, and little pieces. So we're putting together what's called the Make Shift Happen membership program, which is going to be yeah, cheaper. I don't know the price point yet. I want to say around $29 a month. But if you go to anthonytrucks.com, you can join the waiting list. But even outside of that, to be honest, if someone's like, hey, I can't even do that. I need something free right now. And here's what I'll recommend you. It's 3 specific words that I usually have on my intent bracelet, but I broke it the other day because I don't even know. It just broke it. It sucks. I'm going to get another one. But here's the 3 words. Own your shift. Own your shift.
Did I give you bracelets? I can't remember. Did you get a hematite for me? We had a
I might have. Well, you know what it is? I got a My Intent when I went to Craig's event down south, and but I haven't used that one. It's a red one. I might go grab. But I know where it's at actually. But I had one I got from the My Intent company. It was nice and braided, and then I think I've worn it too much. I wore it out. But here's 3 words. People take notes on these because these are going to be simple, but I promise they're going to be something you can actually apply now. First thing is own, which means own that there is something you got to work on, and here's where you can figure it out. Look at all the arguments you've had in the last week. What was the core base of the argument? And I would like you to say, hey, even if it doesn't feel like it's my fault, play the game. What if it was your fault? If it was your fault, based on what they're saying and what you might know, let's take the ego away. What could have been the problem? Where could you have been if you played the blame game and tried to blame yourself? What could you own about the situation that was on you? Cool, right? First thing, own up what's going on. Second thing, where can you step in and say, all right, although it may not be my fault, I may have had no cause of this, right? It is my responsibility. It's your responsibility to work on it because no one's going to fly in with a cape and fix your life. They're too busy on their life. You got to accept that fact. There's things that for me, like, it wasn't my fault that I was put into foster care. It was not my fault that I was, my real dad, when I found him, told me that he knew about me the whole time and didn't know how to come address me. Like, it's crazy. Like, there's things that were not my fault, but it was my responsibility to step up and fix my life. I could not be in the place of giving the power all the time. I don't own those things. I got to work on. I got to forgive. I got to work on it, right? And then now that I know this, unfortunately, there are people in our lives who they know there's something wrong and they know it's on them to fix it, but they don't. They keep medicating. They keep sleeping around. They keep making excuses. They keep causing problems. They're a tornado in their own life. Shift. The last word is you got to shift. And the shift is kind of we'll call it an internal and external thing. You got to shift the way you see things, the way you operate, the way you perceive, the way you react to certain situations. Like in our crazy world right now, I'm in a very interesting space because my clients, they're all having to react to the world. Some are doing it properly, some are doing it poorly. But whatever your reaction is to a world you have no control over will create your future. If I get angry or I lock in or I don't forgive or I place blame, there's a lot of things. And so the shift is that. And then also shift your actions, the way that you show up in the world. Again, what you create creates. Your actions lead. Do the best you can to take a look at your life and say, what actions, big and habitual, do I need to put in my life to make some changes? And it's that simple. I mean, there's a lot of depth to it when you really get down. But if you're like, hey, I got to start something now and I can't pay for anything, own your shift. Start there. And I promise you'll start seeing some things change.
For sure. I love that you guys own your shift. This is, I mean, Anthony, every single time, I mean, we've only been on twice, but both times, it's been such a powerful conversation. And there's just so many things that resonate with me. I know there are things that resonate with the audience as well. And I just appreciate you so much. I mean, you spending the time and the passion that you have to help people, and especially right now, this is it's so important, and it's empowering people. It's just reminding people that you have it within you to change your life, to shift your life, to achieve your dreams. And Anthony can help you get there. And there's a bunch of different ways to do it. So you guys, I have it pinned as a comment on the very bottom. Anthony Trucks, that's his Instagram account. Your website is the same, right?
Yeah, I'm the only person that I know of in the world with the same name besides my son. So Anthony Trucks, go looking for that. You'll find me.
I think there's like 7 Serena Poons.
Yeah,
so thank goodness for my middle name.
Yeah, and I'm okay with waiting for a third one for a good another 10 or 15 years. He doesn't need any babies anytime soon.
Well, you guys go to Anthony, give him a follow if you don't already follow him.
Reach out.
And message him. You get back to all your DMs or comments.
I do, personally.
It's so important. Like, this is, as soon as you get off this live, this is something that you can do for yourself right away and own your shift. You know,
Own your
there's
shift.
something that
Yeah.
you can do this. And I love that you said that. Just like think back on your week. Think back on your what is the core? What's the root of
Yeah.
all
What were
the problems or
confrontations?
disagreements? It's such a good thing that all of us can do. You know, because we're
Yeah.
all
Because they're
human.
there. They
Yeah.
happen in my marriage. I mean, I have
Of
weird
course.
little arguments about, like, for example, my wife has been kind of in a funk the last couple of days. She's not mad, she's not sad, but I understand that I'm poking at her. I'm in a good mood like 95% of the time. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'll poke her and I'll realize like she's been a butt, but like to be honest, if I own up to myself like she's not, I
Mm-hmm.
can't expect anything more from her than she expects from herself in the moments.
Mm-hmm.
So if she doesn't expect herself to be on right now, it's
Right.
not my place to come in and force her to be, you know, in a different
Right.
position. So like those are things I'm a human being. I navigate emotions with other human beings. And so yeah, there's always these areas for me to look back, and I do the work I talk about. I use the same planners. I've never been a person who will tell you to do something that I'm not currently or have done multiple times myself. I don't believe that it's the right thing to do to tell someone how to run a race that
Oh
you have
yeah.
to cross the finish line of. So
Oh yeah,
I've
for
crossed a bunch
sure.
of finish lines, and now I'm like, okay, great. I crossed this finish line. If I was running the race and I was like, hey, I'm running, and I made a right, come with me, I could have made the wrong turns. But I crossed the
Yeah.
line, looked back and said, hey, you know what? I made a right back there. You shouldn't have made a right. You should have went straight. Don't make that
Yeah.
left. That would have been, hey, but make this left. I realize it's faster. Someone else told me, right? So
Yeah.
I cross these finish lines. Now I get to go back, and like I love the fact that I get to take all the craziness of my life and make great stories for other people's lives as well.
For sure. I'm in such agreement with you about that because I'm the same way. You know, I won't give
Yeah.
advice
I can
about something
tell.
that I haven't already done. And whether it's a diet in nutrition, whether it's a diet or a program, like I'll try everything first. I'm always my first guinea pig. And I know every single person is different, but I have had to at least have tried that protocol, that modality, that diet, that food myself first. So, and I love that because I can't
Yeah.
remember what conversation I was in or that I was listening to, and it was talking about how so often, like let's say you're in business school, you know, and there's
Mhm.
a teacher, a professor that's teaching me something. Well, are they a business owner, you know, or are they just your professor? It's so different when you're
That's
learning from someone that's actually gone through it, and like what Anthony said, has crossed the finish line, has tested, you know, all these different ways. It's a completely different learning. It's a completely
yeah.
different university of life. And so
Yeah.
I love that. And then just real quick, just a
Yeah.
little tidbit from, you know, the spiritual feminine me. It's a full moon. So that may be why your wife might be a little bit off a
Oh
little bit.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I think you had a spray. Did I send you one
You
of
did.
these?
You sent me a great package of stuff.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
I
I do
sent
have
you one
that.
of these,
Yes, you
I'm
did.
telling you, whether
Go
or not
spray
you
it on
believe,
the
just
pillow.
give it a try.
All
Give it
right.
a try. It's an aura cleansing spray.
I'm
It's
with
been
it.
Reiki'd. I've Reiki'd it. It's
Okay.
infused with all kinds of magic. Just like if she's like being as you said, if she's being a butt, just like, you know,
All
just
right, I'm
spray
gonna
a
do
little
it.
bit around her, or
I'm
like,
gonna try that. You know what's
light
interesting
one of
is in
these
her world,
candles. What?
I have the candle too. I have a collection of. I'm gonna get that out. So I'm not even joking. I really will do it. She works in special ed, like special needs. So she owns pretty much an adult residential facility. So adults that live there 24/7 that her staff takes care of, and then a day program for individuals throughout the day who are unable to actually go to school. So she works
Yeah.
with 70-something clients. But it's interesting is whenever there is a full moon, it is notated, documented that actually their emotions and their behaviors
Of
actually fire up. So
course.
it's very
They're heightened.
interesting you say that. And maybe I just get really happy because I'm extra happy right now. I think I'm just in good moods with all the stuff going on in the world.
Yeah, you know, so try that. You know,
Yeah.
burn the candle, everything, and you'll feel the magic. I get that feedback a lot from, you know, clients and
Yeah.
customers and everything. Especially if she's working in an environment like that, I'm sure a lot of those energies kind of stick with her. So,
Yeah.
so
Oh, you got
hi.
Evan Carmichael. Do you know Evan?
I don't, but good to meet you,
Oh,
Evan.
you
Are
got to
you
get
guys
Evan on.
buddies? Okay,
Yeah,
Evan, let's connect after
he's a
this.
powerhouse. Evan's a powerhouse. If anybody is interested in trying to figure out how to do amazing things on YouTube from a guy that has the guy's heart, it's got to be 3 times the size of his body. But you got to, Chef, you got to come and get connected with
Oh my
Mr.
God,
Evan
Evan,
Carmichael.
this is so like synchronistic. We need
Yeah.
some help with that because we don't know what we're doing.
Ooh, hey,
So-
yeah, you guys,
so
I'll
Evan, we
put
gotta
you guys either reach out to each other or I'll put you together in a message, but I'm going to do that ASAP for you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll just like group text and like figure that part out. So thank you. So, okay, you guys, if you don't have any other questions or if you have more questions, I can check my text real quick. Send them to Anthony, send them direct. He's obviously the most awesome person. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, and I'll personally respond. Yeah, it'll be somewhere like, I mean, even if it's not, if you just have a question for me, just curious about life, by all means, whatsoever, just send me a personal message. I'm just a human being. I love chatting with human beings. So if you guys want to chat, reach out. If you're interested in the programs, send me a message. Regardless what it is, I love what I get to do, and I love doing it even without people paying for it. We'll call it. I enjoy it. So reach out.
I feel you. We're the same, and I love that. I feel that about you, and I think, I mean, you guys have all stuck on with us. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you guys tune in and then you stay on and you're engaged and you ask questions. You guys are just the best. So grateful for you, and so nice to meet a lot of you that are probably coming from Anthony's channel. And Anthony, this has been awesome. And you guys, I will definitely, what we do is we always save the video and we get it cleaned up as much as can be, because usually the AV is a little off because of Instagram. We try to clean it up and then we'll put it back up. So if you missed anything, if you logged in later, you know, all of Anthony's wisdom will be up and available, and we will share it on Instagram when it's up, and then you can go to the link and watch the full videos in Facebook. So that's it. Anything else to add, Anthony?
No, have an amazing rest of the week, and then weekend. We got a Labor Day weekend ahead. People just enjoy life. Doesn't be crazy that's going on. Just create whatever you put your energy into is what will create experience for your life. So even if you have a bad day, go do something you like doing. It'll change it pretty quick.
Yes, for sure. All right, you guys. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, you guys. That was so much fun. And you guys, I will be on in about an hour with my next guest, with Carissa.
There you go.
So yeah, if you have time, jump on. She's a firecracker. She's super cool.
Awesome.
But I'll see you guys really, really soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Anthony.
Welcome. Thank you.
Bye.